Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. Woo, and I'm feeling good.
Good morning, y'all. Well, it is a bright and early, I would say, summer morning here in Opelika. It's a little after 7, and we're going to get out here and do some plantings while it's still pretty cool, because we have about a 3-hour window or so, and before you know it, it's going to be in the upper 80s, and it's just too hot to work out here when it's approaching 90 degrees. So what I'm working on today are adding in some annuals and some perennials into our landscape bed. It's kind of an overgrown mess. It needs to be weeded and trimmed up with the weed eater, but I'm not very good at that. Randy has to do that. I don't do well with sharp objects, and I would end up cutting something I'm not supposed to cut. So just going to film here and show you what we're doing, and then we'll come back and do just a little mini tour.
Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and a bold world for me, yeah. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Well, as you can see, we got several things planted today. The begonias, I was filling in where the begonias from last year, some came back, some didn't. So I was filling in where they didn't come back very strongly. They're not supposed to come back anyway. They are an annual. So it's just because we had a mild winter that we even had the begonias survive. In addition to the begonias, I planted a couple of different kinds of hostas along our stone step trail. I'm continuing to fill that in. And there's a couple of spots where I'm going to be adding the brunnera that is like the other brunneras that I had planted last year. We absolutely cannot get Brunnera here anywhere, so I have to order those. They get quite large, 30 inches wide by about 1.5 feet tall. So I'll show you those up close and show you where the other two that I've ordered will be planted. This is Great Siberian Bugloss Brunnera, and it will get, as I said earlier, 30 inches wide and about as tall as the hostas. There's one of the Brunneras. There's actually 3 on this side and 3 on the other side. But as we extended the hostas here, there will be another Brunnera right here, and then another Brunnera right here. So we'll have 8. When we originally did the hostas last year along those stone steps, we had a variety, kind of a mix of the guacamole and the stained glass and Francine. And I really didn't like the mix. I wanted it all to be kind of that lime green color. I would have planted solidly guacamole, but they didn't have enough to finish it out. So I transplanted the Francines. I'll show you where. And I added in more guacamoles, and this last go around I added in a few in that looked similar to guacamole. Sun and something. I'll have to look it up. Sun and sunshine? I'm not sure. But they're very, very similar, and they grow about the same size. Sun and Substance hosta, Brunnera. I believe these are the stained glass. These are the guacamole, and that's a volunteer polka dot plant and some volunteer begonias that came up again because we didn't have a harsh winter. Next, you saw me adding some color in, just into the landscape. They're annuals. I would have loved to have planted some perennials in there, but it's becoming slim pickings now, and there aren't just a whole lot of perennials that will flower all summer long or have good color all summer long. So what I planted was French quarter coleus, and I interspersed those with some vinca, and that is the Pacifica polka dot. White with a center pink, hot pink polka dot center. So with all of those plants I just listed, the begonias, the variegated liriop, the hostas, the Brunnera, the coleus, the vinca, I feed them with a fish fertilizer. And I've got 3 choices here, and I'm going to tell you about each one and which one I like the best. This is the cheapest, Alaska fish fertilizer. You can pick it up at big box stores. It is a 511, and it's okay. The next one is a whole lot better. It is Neptune's Harvest Fish and Seaweed Fertilizer, and it is a 2-3-1. For these plants out here outdoors, you're supposed to mix about 1/8 of a cup in a gallon of water for those. So this kind of goes pretty fast if you're feeding once a week, because I got lots of plants. But my absolute favorite fish fertilizer is Pure Protein. I've already done a couple of videos on that. I bought me a bigger bag. This is 15-1-1. You put 1 tablespoon in a gallon of water, and this is made out of from a company out of Florida, Organic Ag Products. This time I bought it directly from them, but in the past I've gotten it from the Boogie Brew company, which is where I buy my compost tea for brewing. This is super stuff. It says plant superfood. Yes, it is plant superfood. You can mix this just in water, as I said, for a root drench foliar feed. I brew my compost tea twice a month, and one of those times I brew it, I add this in. We have slugs that eat on our hostas. So, sluggo it is. Sprinkle it around once every couple of weeks. This is safe for pets. The Perennia that I planted in the fake well, it could be fertilized just fine with compost tea, but honestly, Perennia needs a fertilizer with a higher phosphorus number. So I have Happy Frog, and it is a 312-0. And feeding them about twice a month with that will really supercharge their blooms. These beautiful purple flowers are Perennia. The specific variety is a Kauai purple. Perennia is an annual in most zones, but if you're lucky to live in zones 10 or 11 where it stays warm, Perennia is a perennial. If you have trouble remembering Perennia, it is also known as the clown flower. Looks like it's smiling. Or it's also known as the wishbone flower. And I'll pull you in close and hopefully you'll be able to see why it is called that. It rained last night, so everything's a little bit wet. This one's not sticking up all that well. And I don't know if you can see it, but the anthers right there coming out of the flower are connected. So they look like a wishbone. There's a bigger one. Petals are starting to go. Can you see it? Now if a bee comes in there for pollen, it will break the anther. But that's why it's also called the wishbone flower. Our knockout roses are not as full this year as they were last year because I did not prune them back like I should have. I didn't prune them at all. But you can prune also about this time after the first flush of flowers. You can come in with knockout roses and take them down some and they will bush out and bloom again. It's also time for me to feed them. In the southeast, we feed 4 times a year. In February, and then in May after the first flush of flowers, and then 6 to 8 weeks after that. This is the 6 to 8 week period. And then again in early September. That's the southeast. I like David Austin's rose food. I also like his roses. It only takes 2 ounces, like 1/8 of a cup. Let me think. 1 ounce. Yeah, 1 ounce. 1/8 of a cup for established roses. Need some gloves. All these blushing brides we still have to plant on both sides. This was one of the two that I transplanted. You might have seen me fertilize it. We've got to take out that Nandina and then plant all of the rest of the blushing brides. Won't that be fun?
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April and shut down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that too. When I'm back on top in June, I said that's life. And it's funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on a dream. But I don't let it get me down. 'Cause this fine old world, it keeps spinning around.
We had 2 Nandinas out of 4 that were in the way of planting our blushing bride hydrangeas on either side of our steps. This is not the time of year to move them, but we didn't have a choice. So what we have to make sure we do is keep them well watered until they can get established really well. And we'll wait to move the other 2 until the fall. We're putting them back here behind another row of the summer something hydrangeas further deeper into the landscape bed. So we've got 5 of the Nandinas, probably 20 yards away. Not 20 yards, maybe, I don't know. So this will bring some of the same color to the area, especially in the fall when they turn their vibrant yellows and oranges and deep reds.
Flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life.
That's life.
And I can't deny it. Many times I thought of cutting out, baby, but my heart just ain't gonna fire. But if there's nothing come this here July, I'm gonna roll myself up in a big ball and die.
Some of you might remember seeing images of this blue lobelia when I had planted it up in our sub-irrigation planter up by our porch in these little 1-gallon grow bags. Well, lobelia is really more of a spring bloomer because it really just blooms in the cooler temperatures. So once it starts to get really hot in the heat of the summer, you can do a couple of things. You can trim it and wait for it to bloom again in the fall, or you can plant it in ground in a little bit shadier spot. You can also trim it when it's starting to really lose its flowers and it will flush out again. So I am moving the lobelia to a couple of places here in the yard. I don't know if you can see, the roots are actually starting to grow through the bottom of this grow bag now, which makes it pretty hard to get off or get out of the grow bag. So I just kind of squeeze the sides and just work it.
at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw days looking so right, noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on.
You gotta get up, you gotta get up, you gotta get up in the morning. You gotta get up, you gotta get up. It's time to get up today. Somebody's going to murder the bugler. Someday they're going to find him dead. I'll amputate the reveille and step upon him heavily and spend the rest of my life in bed. Thanks, Mama, for all those early morning get-up songs. Especially when I don't want to get up. Cooper Brown, you woke me up at 4:30 this morning. Cooper's Appeal. I'm super excited about this trio of new southern living plants. It is called Spider's Web Fatsia, F-A-T-S-I-A. It grows in zones 7 through 9. The beauty of it is that it's an evergreen. So, in the winter, we'll have something out here that is of interest. They're pretty hard to find evergreens that like shade, that are going to look right in our kind of free-flowing landscape country yard. I want you to look at the beautiful foliage on it. As it grows out, it's surrounded by this white edging and has some white speckling throughout the center. These will grow 4 to 5 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. Now, they like moist soil, but they like well-draining soil. We don't have well-draining soil. We have clay soils. So what we have to do, 2 things. Number one, we'll want to make sure we plant the root ball just a tiny bit higher than normal. And I've got it kind of where it's not on the bottom of the hill, kind of sloping away. So that will help with the drainage. The other thing that we have to do is amend our clay soils. You can use a soil conditioner that's like a pine bark mix. You can use compost. Today, that's what we're going to be using is mushroom compost. Also, every time I plant a perennial, I like to use Biotone Starter. It is a plant food, but it's Starter Plus. And the plus is the mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae has many, many benefits in helping your roots to develop fully and expand. So it's only good if you put it down there by the root zone. So when we plant, you'll see that I'll be adding that to the bottom of each hole.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me